Yoshida has developed a big crush on his coworker, Arigoto-san, for a while now. When he finally got to go out with her on a date, he gets rejected. He drinks the night away and stumbles upon a strange girl in the middle of the night looking for a place to stay. The next morning, the girl introduces herself to Yoshida as Sayu Ogiwara, and she tells him that she ran away from Hokkaido to Tokyo. Yoshida is still feeling heartbroken from Goto-san's rejection, but she still asks him out to go to dinner, and this surprises him. But she proceeds to tell him that she feels lucky and asks him to go out with her for a drink sometime soon. Sayu, on the other hand, is waiting for Yoshida to get home because she prepared dinner for both of them. Because of this, Yoshida begins to think that maybe Sayu and he need something they can use for communication, so he considers buying her a cell phone. Yoshida goes out to buy Sayu a cell phone, and he asks Hashimoto, his married coworker, to accompany him. Hashimoto converses with Yoshida and points out how he even takes the time to consider what type of cell phone Sayu would like, as if he wanted to please her and make her happy. At the end of the conversation, Hashimoto gives a piece of heartfelt advice to Yoshida, that he should be careful and that he should not give her any form of mixed signals to avoid making her fall in love with him. As Yoshida gets ready to leave for home after work, Goto-san approaches him and asks him if they can go out for dinner. Yoshida, of course, accepts the invitation. During dinner, Goto-san asks Yoshida whether or not he is single. When he responds with a no, she calls him a liar and points out a few changes about him that she noticed. She points out that he used to always run late and now he does not anymore. She noticed how his clothes are now always ironed and how he is always newly shaved. She proceeds to suggest that maybe he and Mishimiya are dating, and he tells her that she's wrong about this assumption. Yoshida then proceeds to confess how he has always been in love with her for longer than she can imagine. As Yoshida continues to go out with a coworker, this sends Sayu into a bit of a spiral. She has always used her beauty and body to sleep with men in exchange for a place to stay. With this setup with Yoshida, she starts thinking that maybe cleaning the household for him is not enough. She assumes that maybe Yoshida will kick her out all of a sudden, especially now that he has been going out with a coworker. Meanwhile, Mishima, another coworker of Yoshida, shoots her shot with Yoshida. She asks him out without Yoshida taking a hint that this is supposed to be a date. When Yoshida shows up, Mishima assumes that Sayu is just his daughter. After that conversation, Sayu starts to be more comfortable and settled in Yoshida's home, so she decides that it's time for her to get a job. Yoshida supports this decision so she can get out more. Asami, an old friend of Yoshida, shows up and Sayu had to talk to her without Yoshida. She has a hard time explaining what her relationship with Yoshida is, so she tells her that they're childhood friends, to which of course Asami didn't believe, considering that she's childhood friends with Yoshida herself. While Yoshida goes out to get groceries, Mishima is seen stalking Yoshida and Goto out of sheer jealousy. This gets progressively worse as Mishima creates a scene and tells Yoshida that he should have kept Sayu a secret from Goto-san. They both realize how badly Mishami sounds right now, so she decides to walk away. Yoshida realizes that a problem may arise because of someone that Sayu works with. One of Sayu's and Asami's co-workers, Yaguchi, happens to be one of the men Sayu has slept with in the past in exchange for a place to sleep in. Upon this revelation, Yaguchi and Sayu eventually see each other, and Yaguchi shows an aggressive manner towards knowing Sayu. He proceeds to threaten Sayu by exposing her about what she used to do in the past until she tells him where she is living now in order for them to talk privately. This leads to Yoshida and Yaguchi facing each other and Yoshida kicking Yaguchi before he was able to force himself into Sayu. Yoshida, along with Asami, becomes very protective of Sayu. As Mishima chose to walk away during her previous encounter with Yoshida, this doesn't mean that jealousy isn't eating her up. And this time, she becomes very jealous of Sayu. She even creates a scene. She yells at Yoshida, asking him about his relationship with Sayu. However, Yoshida has already rejected her, so he doesn't really understand why she can't take the hint. Sayu panics at knowing that Kayato has been hunting her down and has now finally found her. Mishima's stalking skills come into good use as she swoops in and saves Sayu and drags her into a local karate bar, But with Kazuto finding out where Sayu lives, this continues to spark issues between the two, and the endless possibilities of what was to come continue to worry them. However, when Kazuto showed up at Yoshida's doorstep, he had no intentions of dragging Sayu home, grateful for the fact. This gives Yoshida access to know what truly happened to Sayu and her reasons for leaving home. Upon knowing information about Sayu's past, Yoshida and Asami feel sympathetic towards Sayu, although it is still not clear why Sayu's mother treated her so badly. With Sayu close to leaving the city back to her hometown, this brings the question of whether or not Yoshida should move closer to her. However, Yoshida finds it hard to be away from her, so he decides to go with her. When Kazuto arrives to pick them up, Sayu asks if they can pay a visit to her former high school to once again face the emotions of what had happened to her in the past at this point. Sayu decides that she finally needs to heal. However, Yoshida is still having second thoughts about leaving Sayu, especially when her mother found out about Sayu being homeless again. She decides to hit and beat up Sayu. This reaffirms Yoshida's thoughts about leaving Sayu and how he was not comfortable with it. After Sayu's mom hit her, she talks so harshly towards her without even giving a hint of worrisome about where her daughter has been. However, Yoshida begs Sayu's mom, despite being upset about how she treats Sayu. He tells her that she can't raise Sayu. He begs her to treat and raise her right rather than beat her. Kazuto supports Yoshida. This leaves Sayu's mom feeling embarrassed. Kazuto decides to let Yoshida and Sayu go out for a bit so he could talk to their mother. When Sayu and Yoshida are left alone once again, she thanks him for looking out for her. When Kazuto asks Saya and Yoshida to step back in again, Sayu's mom asks Yoshida why he is so willing to make an effort for her daughter. Sayu's mother breaks down and cries with the help of Yoshida's words. Before leaving, he makes it very clear to Kazuto that he is not in love with Sayu and he's simply just cared for her. After 2 years, nothing much changes for Yoshida. He's still single. For Sayu, she has an additional friend in her life, which came in as Asami. Sayu decides to pay Yoshida a visit. She waits in the same exact place they first met, asking for a place to stay at. And this is the end of the anime recap. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for future uploads, as well as check out my other anime recaps. See you next time.